Hi, I'm a higher ed CMO and I have a confession to make. I actually think that small institutions are places where innovation can happen in the space of marketing. And I think that those institutions give you a lot of flexibility to explore areas that are not traditionally within the realm of marketing. And so this conversation with Devin Purgason, who is one of the most remarkable higher ed marketers that I know and somebody that I consider a dear friend, is going to appear on this episode to talk about how he has integrated marketing and student care into one function, one role within the institution. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO, a podcast that empowers higher ed marketers to bring innovation, creativity, and excellence to their work. I'm your host, Jaime Hunt. Join me every 2 weeks for discussions with some of the best minds in higher education marketing. Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO is part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher educational professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. I am so thrilled to be here with Devin Purgason, who is a great friend and somebody I've known for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Devin is the Executive Director of Marketing and Student Care at Forsyth Technical Community College, and he works with one of my favorite leaders in higher ed. Welcome to the show, Devin. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Jaime. I am thrilled to be here. Super, super honored.
I am so excited to have you on the show. I mentioned a little bit earlier that Devin works for one of my favorite higher ed leaders, Janet Spriggs, and you shared some really exciting news on LinkedIn today, which will, of course, not be today when people are listening. But tell us a little bit about your most recent accomplishment there at Forsyth Tech.
Yeah, so we're super, super thrilled to announce that this spring 2024, is the highest enrollment that we've had in 10 years. And so this is just really a testament to not just one team or one individual. This is everyone coming together synergistically and really focusing on student success and making a difference in that way. We've worked very, very hard, and it's just really nice to see this pay off in this way. So we're thrilled.
It's absolutely tremendous, especially when you think about all the headlines right now about community college enrollment just taking a nosedive all over the country. For Forsyth Tech to be like growing is just absolutely tremendous. And I'm super excited to talk with you about some of the things that you're doing. But before we jump into that, can you tell us a little bit about your career journey?
In the past, I've had to really, sometimes put up bumpers for my career journey just because I don't have that traditional, I didn't go to undergrad and get a degree in journalism or communication. I went to undergrad and got a degree in theology. And then after that bachelor's degree in theology, I enrolled in seminary and I completed a master's of divinity. And so whenever you hear that piece and when you hear that educational foundation, you don't think, oh, marketing guy. And so I've had to sort of learn to be really proud of that educational background and that foundation that I have. But yeah, so I started in an academic realm and made my way into marketing. Um, One of the ways that I did that, I sort of had a photography business on the side. That is how I paid for myself to go to college. Is
Wow.
through that photography business. I did photography, videography, weddings, and senior sessions and proms and all of those different things. And when I graduated from my undergrad, Piedmont International University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the director of marketing saw, hey, this guy takes really good pictures and he's kind of young. I bet he would be a good social media coordinator. And so I started working at my alma mater. I started doing social media work, and that quickly that just sparked this newfound love. I loved higher ed. Clearly, I like the academic part of it,
Right.
uh, but I really like had a new look into the administration side and into the enrollment management and into the marketing of higher education. And I really began to love that. I quickly became the director of marketing at that institution. And then in 2020, I started working at Forsyth Tech. And so I've been here for about 3.5 years. And I absolutely love what I do. I love the people that I work with. I love the school that I work for. I love higher ed. I love marketing. And I just feel like the luckiest person in the world because I get to really do what I love. So
I love
that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my history.
I love that. I love that you kind of came through a non-traditional path. And when I say non-traditional, I mean I feel like at least half of the people I've interviewed on this podcast started out in journalism, at least
Right.
half, and then like realized there's like no way to make a living in journalism,
Yeah.
or the mass layoffs or whatever caught us, and we pivoted into marketing. But I think you're the first person I've talked to on this podcast that came through seminary, so I
Yeah.
think that's super cool. And little known fact, and this is like, I'm not sure why I'm sharing this, but I actually considered going to seminary myself when I was in my 20s and
Look
getting a
at
master's
us.
of divinity. I know. I didn't, and I don't really regret that now, but
Yeah, totally.
did,
Totally understand.
yeah. So, so your job is really interesting because I don't think I've talked to anyone yet that has that sort of merger between marketing and student care. And when you think about it, it makes total sense. But how do you see those two areas complementing each other? And were they integrated when you started at Forsyth Tech, or did you sort of evolve into that role?
Yeah, no. So such a great question. It's honestly one of my favorite things, my title, marketing and student care, because it always raises that question. Wait a second. What is student care?
Yeah,
And how does that have anything to do with marketing?
right.
This was not something that I stepped into at Forsyth Tech. It was something that we as an institution saw a need for, and our president really backed us up on that and then gave us the resources to make it possible. So let me just give a quick overview about what student care is and what that means in the context of Forsyth Tech. So we almost look at our student care team as kind of like a concierge service. So
Oh,
this is like customer service. This is that front line. This is the first line of defense for our institution. So phone calls, chats on our website, emails, people walking in to our front door. This is the team that sort of takes care of all of that. Our student care representatives, they're amazing because they have such a copious amount of knowledge. The reason that this team was sort of born is because we realized that what was happening was a lot of people were coming for a financial aid issue, or they had a question about a class that they needed to take, or their application status, and they would call and they would get put over here and sent over here, and all of these different, it wasn't streamlined. It wasn't what our students are used to from a normal customer service experience.
yeah.
And so we decided that we wanted to create a team that could sort of basically handle 80% of all inquiries that came in. And then, the 20% that we can't handle, we escalate to
Yeah.
financial aid, or we escalate to an advisor, or to a student service. So this was basically for us a deepening of the marketing funnel.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those things where, we had we had heavily, changed our strategy with digital marketing. We had, revamped our website and things of that nature. And we really wanted to say, like, okay, not only are we going to like put these people, put them through a campaign and like they're going to apply and enroll in class, but like, what's that next step?
Yeah.
What is the next piece? And so that's really how the student care team was born. We are here for our students. We are here to answer questions or help them with anything that they need. That is sort of the way that we look. We look at it kind of like a white glove service. It's a personalized experience for our students, and we have just been. It's been very, very rewarding to see this come together and conflate with marketing. We just really enjoyed it.
I love that. And I love what you said about deepening the funnel, because I feel like too often in higher ed, the marketing office is solely focused on recruitment and we're
Right.
not thinking about retention. But in any other business, right, in any
Mm-hmm.
other kind of industry, we know that retention of customers is quote unquote cheaper than getting new customers. Now,
Exactly.
we don't have the luxury of just having existing customers, right? Because they
Right.
only need our product for 2 to 4 to 6 or 8 years at the most. So
Right.
we're constantly having to feed that cycle of new customers. But yeah, that retention piece, it sounds like you guys put just a lot of intentional effort into thinking that through and how that would look.
Absolutely. It was definitely something that we had to scale. At this moment, we have 14 student care representatives. We've got a student care coordinator and then a student care director that reports to me. And that is not how we came out of the gate. If you know, that's a lot of human resources that we've scaled up to, but we really modeled after some like contact centers.
Mm,
We looked at the way, honestly, the way that customers interact with any other company.
yeah.
Whenever you have an issue with Amazon, how do you get in contact with them, and how is that seamless? Is it annoying? Is it hard to do? And so we looked at some of these things, the user experience that students and adults and customers, for SciTech customers, have in the real world, and said, how can we put that into the higher education space? So yeah, that was really the impetus for that. We wanted to reduce the friction that students felt as they were, moving through the funnel at Forsyth Tech, as well as becoming, a successful student, at retaining, persisting throughout their courses. And we said, like, how can we design that user experience in this way? I think a lot of people in industry would connect user experience and marketing in some
Mm-hmm.
way, but
Mm-hmm.
higher ed has been really slow
Yeah.
to that. And so we're not doing it perfectly. We have so much room to grow, but that's where we're headed.
Hey all, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO. I want to take a moment to thank my friends at MindPower who are making Season 2 of this Enrollify podcast possible. MindPower is a full-service marketing and branding firm celebrating nearly 30 years of needle-moving, thought-provoking, research-fueled creative and strategy. MindPower is woman-founded and owned, WBENC certified, nationally recognized, and serves the social sector, higher education, healthcare, nonprofits, and more. The MindPower team is made up of strategists, storytellers, and experienced creators. From market research to brand campaigns to recruitment to fundraising, the agency exists to empower clients, amplify brands, and help institutions find a strategic way forward. You can learn more about their work in the world by heading on over to MindPower Inc. That's MindPowerinc.com. And be sure to tell the crew that Jaime sent you their way. Another place I think is doing that really freshly is University of Montana, where Jenny Petty is now also over, I believe, alumni relations and human resources. So they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking more cradle to grave for a student,
Yes.
and that's something. When I was at UW Oshkosh, the executive director of marketing at that time, to whom I reported, she ended up having alumni relations report to her too for that. But when you think about the current student pop and all the services that they need and all the barriers that they have to success, having more offices dedicated to kind of reducing that friction just seems like such a smart way to do things. And I imagine, for community college students, some of those barriers are a little bit unique. And can you talk a little bit about what some of those are?
Absolutely. So the great thing and the difficult thing about community college students is that there's not one kind. As marketers, we do a lot of persona creation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we do it here at Forsyth Tech as well in our marketing efforts, but we know how difficult it is because our students are, our youngest graduate last May was 16 years old. Our oldest graduate last
Wow.
May was 77 years old.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
it's just the entire gamut of age, of digital literacy, financial barriers exist for our students, like every other college, community college, university in our country. Transportation barriers. We have a lot of we're a commuter campus. We don't have on-campus housing, so we have a lot of transportation barriers that students have. Um, as well as we have a large number of first generation college students. I was a first generation college student. My first year of college was at Forsyth Tech. Full
Oh, that's so
circle.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. I graduated high school and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was sort of um, feeling things out, and I came to Forsyth Tech. I took a year of general education classes. They transferred into my bachelor's degree, and it was a wonderful experience. Um, but a lot of first generation college students, so people that have not been a part of a college going culture. So the vocabulary that we use, the language that is all over our websites and things like that are not common to everyone. It's not you know understandable just outright. And so those are just the tip of the iceberg of some of the barriers that our students face. A couple of the ways that our student care team has really come in and helped that is, we're there to answer questions about everything that the college experience can handle. Financial aid questions. What is financial aid? What is the FAFSA? How do I apply for that? What does that look like? What is the cycle? All of those types of questions. What is my school code? I don't know what this means. What if my parents don't have a social security number? What do I do?
Right.
What
Right.
if I don't have a social security number? What do I
Yeah.
do? And so uh, we we really we have taken that understanding of our students, of our demographics. We've got adult learners. We've got we've got a lot of emphasis that we've recently been doing on adult learner marketing, because you know um, these are students that have families. They
Yeah.
have children. They have childcare needs. They have um, you know the modality of learning might have to change for students that have some of um, those life circumstances. So uh, we've just really embraced that. We love that about community college. We love the diversity that we have in that. Um, but it does create a challenge, and so student care is one of the ways that we have sought to help solve those challenges.
And I think I have heard you talk before about this, but can you touch a little bit on how AI is helping you with serving students?
Absolutely. We have been very, very lucky to have an AI chatbot on our website. And when I say very lucky, I mean the timing was very lucky. As you know, in March, ChatGPT, this random thing called ChatGPT, just burst into the global scene and became the hottest topic and the hottest trend that anyone could ever talk about. Our CRM heavily invested in the company, heavily invested in artificial intelligence, and we were coming out of a website redesign. So, we've got a fresh, brand new, just swaddled, in the incubator baby website, you know what I mean? Just, without any impurities or any trauma or any of those things.
10
So,
fingers, 10 toes.
right. Yes, absolutely. Like just bright eyed, and, so we were able to, a piece of the chatbot, the AI chatbot, is that it crawls your website. And if this would have come out 6 months before, we would have never installed it on our website, because our website was a mess. It was just, a jungle. And so the chat bots are only as good as the content that you feed it. And so we had a fresh, brand new website. This technology had just come out, and so we were able to load our website in. We were able to add. We hired someone as a knowledge management specialist. This is something that I think is really unique. We actually hired this position out of our need with student care, because, as I mentioned, huge knowledge base that they need.
Yeah.
How do you upskill that quickly?
Yeah.
Well, you have to have a really good knowledge base. This is not this information is not something that we expect them to memorize or anything like that. So you have to have a good knowledge base. But a knowledge base is not something that you can just create and leave. It's just like the website. It's just like, your digital marketing campaigns. You can't just set it and forget it. So this was something that we said, okay, we've got to hire someone who can go out, make connections with other campus partners, and create this knowledge base, but then maintain that knowledge base. So this position came through. We got that approved. Our leadership approved that position for us. And then the chatbot came, and then our new website came. And so it was just all within like this 2-month period of everything just sort of falling together perfectly into place. And so our knowledge base management specialist really takes the lead on monitoring all of the chats that come in from the chatbot and making sure that we have a great knowledge base for that chatbot to sort of base its answers on. So let's say that a chat comes in and it asks a question, and the chatbot is like, I don't know the answer to that. Well, then we're able to then load in an article that explains that answer, and then make sure that the chatbot has been doing those things. Since we have implemented that chatbot about 6 months ago, we have seen a 24% decrease in call volume.
Wow.
And that has been like, so like I had mentioned our student care team. Actually, I don't think I mentioned this, Jaime. Our student care team, the age of our student care team, we're about 1.5 years old. So this has only been something that we've been doing for about 1.5 years, maybe. Well, I guess at this point, almost 2 years. We're about maybe 1 year and 9 months. And so we've been here only for a short period.
You're still
you're
in your toddler years with your
yes.
Yeah.
Let's keep that analogy. I love it. So we don't have a lot of data to like track call volume and things like that. But from the call volume that we do have, the data that we do have, we are able to see a 24% decrease. And our student care representatives, what this allows them to do is not answer questions like, when's the next semester start? And things like that the chatbot can easily answer. But it allows them to be able to answer questions that might need more hands-on help, or there are more nuances that our student care team needs. So we've had amazing success with our AI chatbot. It's been something that has, I think, just over and over and over again from an efficiency standpoint and from uh, the ability to help students get the information they need. It's been miraculous. Unlike our student care reps, it can be on 24/7, 365.
Right.
Uh, and so that has been just wonderful for us. Um, we're just really really happy with it.
Hey, it's Jaime Hunt, and I want to personally invite you to the industry's hottest event this summer, the Engage Summit, hosted in Raleigh on June 25th and 26th. The Engage Summit is your roadmap for AI readiness in higher education. Sessions will focus on cutting edge AI applications that are reshaping student outreach, enhancing staff productivity, and offering deep insights into ROI. This isn't your typical conference. It's a strategic summit where you'll learn from the best about leveraging AI and digital strategies in higher ed marketing. Imagine 2 days filled with hands on sessions, real success stories, and the chance to network with top minds in the field. You'll leave with practical, transformative takeaways as you learn how AI fosters a more personalized, efficient approach, from recruitment to student success. Oh, and the best part? The Engage Summit is incredibly affordable. Use the discount code Enrollify50 and you can register for just $99. So join your favorite Enrollify network creators at the Engage Summit this June. Learn more and register at engage.element451.com. We can't wait to see you there. I think that every institution needs an AI chatbot. I realize I'm speaking
Yes.
from a place where we don't currently have one, but we had one at a previous institution way back in my olden days when I was at Winston-Salem State. And we saw the
Yes.
same thing, 36% fewer inbound calls as a result of bringing this chatbot up. And we actually then rolled out what we called a retention bot that was focused on answering the questions for the current students, and an admission bot that was focused on answering the questions for admissions. But now I'm sure, because that was like 2017 or something, that you can just have one bot and not have to have like these two separate
Right.
things that it crawls. But if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you will have heard me say, get an AI chatbot.
Yes, absolutely. I concur. It has paid for itself over and over again. Just in the, it does this thing where it calculates like time saved, 36,000 minutes at the last time
Wow.
I checked. I mean, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, yeah, absolutely. Yes, listen to Jaime. Get yourself an AI chatbot, y'all.
Well, and you mentioned something that I think is probably particularly true about the demographic at community colleges, but is not exclusive to community colleges. And that is that the chatbot's able to be on 24/7, 365. And for people who have jobs, people who have, jobs and kids where they're not able to get to their computer until 8, 9 o'clock at night, having a tool where they can still get the answers to their questions without having to send an email or leave a voicemail and hope you get a call back. I mean, truly, customer service has completely changed now that there's chatbots. Like, I don't chatting with Amazon, chatting with Rent
Mm-hmm.
the Runway, chatting with Blue Apron. You're
Right.
getting this customer service experience that is so much better than like, oh, shoot, their call center closed at 7. I
Right.
guess I'll call tomorrow. Okay, well, tomorrow came and went and I forgot. Let me call the next. It just
Yes.
saves everybody so much time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially those that end at like crazy hours, like 5, like when we want to get off work. I'm like,
Right.
oh, I understand it from that perspective, but you're right. We have been in this day and age, we have been trained to really want and need that support whenever we pick up our phones.
Yeah.
So this has been something that has allowed us to do that without straining us to impossible limits from a human resource perspective.
We found ways at Miami to actually have the chatbot like preserve with cookies who visited the page, so that the next time that you visit, it's like, hey, thanks for coming back if you chatted with the bot, or it is able to connect it to your record in the CRM. So if it
Yes.
couldn't answer the question, it can email you the answer, that kind of thing.
That's exactly the same way that it works for us. Our CRM, it asks them to put in their email address. It will connect those email addresses, and then it's able to add that as a record on their profile, so we can see, okay, the student has asked about financial aid 3 times. Maybe we should reach out to them and see what's going on. So yeah, it's been really a wonderful tool, and it sits within our student care team. It sits within our student care team because we consider um, our student care team to be a contact center. So not a call center, but a
Mm,
contact center. You
I
know,
love that.
when someone submits on a digital ad request for information, they give their phone number, their email address, and their cell phone number. Maybe uh, we will ask for their intended major, or if they're on our nursing page, it lets us know this person asked for information while they were on your nursing page. Our CRM creates a task for our student care representative to then reach out to that student. So then, our student care rep can text that student, hey, I see where you're interested in our distribution and logistics management program. Uh, what questions can I answer for you? Um, so that is sort of that human element. Plus, we have automated workflows that they go through. So it's sort of like layering those two, the automation and the human connectivity on that. Jaime, I'm so sorry. I feel like I have taken our conversation about student care and turned it into like workflow and CRM combo. So I am
But
so sorry.
not well, as you're talking, I'm thinking about a conversation I had just yesterday, and hopefully listeners will see why I'm making this connection, about they had almost no budget for marketing. It
Yeah.
was graduate program directors from one of our colleges who were like, how can you help us? We have no money, but please help us. And one of the things that I talked about was, we can create inquiry forms where we can collect the data from the students. Are you willing to take that information every single day and immediately respond to those inquiries? And if you are, you will be ahead of the majority of the graduate programs that they're looking at nonprofit institutions. For-profits have this figured out.
Oh
They
yeah.
know. It's like
Mm-hmm.
my friend Joel Lee, who's at UNC Greensboro, was at a for-profit for a while. And I think he told me once that their time from inquiry to phone call was an average of 8 minutes. Like, and I believe they had people who were able to make those calls up until like 9 o'clock at night. And like, that's what we're competing against, right? Like
Right.
and that's what people expect. If I contact Amazon, I'm not waiting 3 to 5 business days. I'm not really wanting to wait 3 to 5 business minutes,
Yes, exactly. Yes.
and,
It's like,
and
I'm a Prime customer. Excuse me. No, yeah, yeah.
right, exactly, right. When that's not even talk about how Prime has like degraded over the years, but
For
what
real.
one of the faculty members or program chairs was talking about, he's like, I saw a study that said something like 80% of students will go to the school that accepts them first. And that is something that my husband, who was on the podcast a while ago, Dave, has said. There's like, I think a Ruffalo Noel Levitz or somebody who did a study that's like 80% of students go with the first school that accepts them if
Wow.
they're non-traditional. And there's some huge percentage that will like really, really consider a school above others based on that concierge experience. And I know from
Mm-hmm.
my graduate program, it was it was white glove. It was they registered for you. They were
Yes,
like, here's the classes, tell us what you want and we will get you into those classes. It was
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that is that's another factor that helped us sort of build our case for the student care team. You've got these schools that they'll literally pay to have your transcript from
Right.
another school,
Right.
sent to them. So like that's who we're competing with. That's who is sort of, I don't want to say stealing our students, but like that's what we're up against. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to evolve. If not, we might not have seen the increase that we have. We know that that's the reality, and if we want to continue to be competitive in the higher ed space and in you know, our vision is to be a catalyst for equitable economic mobility,
Mm,
empowering lives, and transforming communities. Those are our students. This is our community. We know that there's no silver bullet to poverty, but if there is one, it's probably education. And
100%.
so we are going to we're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at that, because that is important. That is important. Our students
Yeah.
are important. Our students are worth it. They are worth it, Jaime. You know that. And so this is really the heart of our institution, sort of being laid out into a marketing and student care plan.
I'm actually feeling a little bit emotional right now when you say our students are worth it, because that is something that feels like it is just missing sometimes
Mm-hmm.
at some institutions. I've been in rooms where there have been faculty who've said, if the student's not prepared, they don't belong here. And that's like, can we acknowledge that it may not be their fault that they're not
Right.
prepared? It might be their school district. It might be their family of origin. It might be their financial situation. It might be that they had some sort of health crisis, or someone in their family had a health crisis. It might be their school district just didn't offer that, or the teacher that taught it just wasn't good. And so
Yeah.
saying, well, that person doesn't deserve to have a chance at achieving their dreams is just, it's garbage. It's garbage.
Absolutely.
I can't stand it. So when you said our students are worth it, it was like, yes, every single student deserves the opportunity to fulfill their potential.
100%. Where I met you, Jaime, was in my opinion, the best, most premier HBCU in the country, Winston-Salem State.
Agree.
And yeah, I mean, Chancellor Elwood is just one of the most amazing human beings I have ever had the privilege of meeting. And I mean, I'm so proud of the work that you did there, and proud of Winston-Salem State. But as you know, working in a historically black college or university, the side of the highway that you're born on can
Mm-hmm.
make such a difference on the trajectory of your life. And so this is something that we're working as hard as we can here in the community college to really, be a catalyst for change, in those ways. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I just think about my parents were so about education from the time I was little. They were like, you are going to college. That is it. When I was in first grade, I said I was going to go to law school.
Yes.
Like very much like, you are going to college. I was the first person of my family to graduate from college, first person to get a master's degree. My sister just got one, but until then, I was the only one with a master's degree. But their choice was, they could choose. They didn't have a lot of money, but there was a really good school district that had a footprint, like about a third of the enrollment was in, I would say, quote unquote, the wrong side of the tracks, which is a bit of an
Yeah.
exaggeration. But so I grew up there, but had the privilege of going to a school that had absolutely tremendous, like, electives my husband didn't have at his private university in college, like
Wow.
amazing stuff. And it to your point about being, if we had lived, maybe, I think probably like maybe 6 blocks in one direction, I would have been at a school that wouldn't have had those same resources, and maybe I wouldn't have been as prepared to go to the University of Minnesota, or be as prepared to get good scores on the ACTs, all of that kind of stuff. And those
Absolutely.
things, kids can't control that
Right.
at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got me
Absolutely.
riled up. I'm fired up.
Yeah, let's do this.
So I know this is a relatively new, you said it's in its toddler phase, but you've already talked about how you've had success with having your spring class be the largest enrollment, or the spring enrollment be your largest enrollment. Are you seeing yet any like retention or completion rates that have been impacted by the student care approach?
Absolutely. And this is something that is really a institution-wide shift. So um, student care is definitely a piece of that puzzle, but from our leadership top down, Dr. Spriggs, she started here in 2019. And so she really changed a bit of the culture here at Forsyth Tech, to really be student focused, to be a student success focused school. Um, and something that we have seen in the last year, we've seen about we've maintained, or we've gone up a percentage point or two in retention, but our completion rate this past year, in comparison to the year before, was 9% higher.
Wow.
And so that's huge for community colleges, because historically, community college completion rates, their graduation rates, look very poor, because people will do kind of like what I did, and they'll come for a year, they'll get some classes, and then they'll transfer into another degree program before actually completing an associate's degree. And so that has just been something that we have been really, really pleased about. One thing that I would love to mention, so we were just named an Achieving the Dream Leader School, which in the community college world is like huge. And
Wow.
it's one of those things where we have to really prove strategies and metrics of student success and retention and completion. And this has been something that Dr. Spriggs has been working on since the moment that she started here. She's really infused that within our leadership, within the organization. And we're just so pleased that Forsyth Tech is an Achieving the Dream leader school.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and so, yeah, this is the retention and the completion efforts that we put in place. Um, we're really pleased with it. And I can't deny that I think that our student care team has a lot of credit that they're owed for a lot of that.
Oh, I have no doubt. And I know I mentioned a little bit earlier in the podcast that I'm such an admirer of Dr. Spriggs. I met her when I was at Winston-Salem State when she was um, when she first got there, and have kind of stayed in touch with her over the years. And I knew from the moment I met her that there was something different about her, that she
Yes.
was in this role because this is where she wanted to be, and she wanted to make a difference, and she wanted to help students, and she wanted to make an experience that allowed students to fulfill their potential, and that none of it was about climbing a ladder. And it was like, you are so lucky to work for someone who's just like so authentically about the mission of the institution. And I
Yeah.
know there's lots of presidents all over the country you can say that about, but there's
Mhm.
many you can't. There's many who
Right.
are looking for the next thing or wanted the prestige, and she's in it for the students. And you're so lucky to work for her. I'm
I
overjoyed for
well,
you.
thank you. I feel the exact same way. I think one of the most special things about Dr. Spriggs is that she walks the walk, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. She grew up on a tobacco farm. She was the first person in her family to go to college. She went to a community college. That's where she started. And, when she finished her bachelor's degree, she was well within like married and children and things of that nature. So she can not only speak to our students, but she can empathize with them because she
Yeah.
knows exactly where they've been. She was that student, and so it's just really, really remarkable. And I like, you're exactly right, James. I feel so lucky to work for Janet Spriggs. Dr. Spriggs is amazing.
I'm saying like Janet Spriggs for president in
Yes,
2028. Like, can we make
let's
that
do it.
happen? Yeah,
Can she
she's
do both?
fantastic. Right?
Can she? Yeah,
Fair, fair.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be such a loss to Forsyth Tech and to the Winston-Salem community for Janet to move to any other role. But I like to think that if she's president of the United States, the whole world would benefit.
You're exactly right. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oh my
So
goodness.
you talked a little bit about this earlier, but having to have like these different types of learners, right? You have the
Mhm.
students who maybe they're just graduated from high school and they don't yet know what they want to do, and so they want to start at Forsyth Tech. You have, like you mentioned, the 77-year-old graduate. When you're marketing to this diverse of a range of people, how do you really tailor your marketing strategies to appeal to them?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Um, what we've had to do is we have had to be very creative and very strategic with the way that we spend for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I came from a school that was very digital focused, which is great. I mean, obviously, someone is listening to this podcast on a phone through a digital means and through a digital medium. But uh, what we did with the digital, we sort of replaced any other kind of marketing. So we've had to be very, very diverse in not just digital media, but print media and community partnerships
Mm.
and out of home
Mm-hmm.
advertising and marketing, because not every student is going to see your ad on Facebook. We have a service area of Forsyth and Stokes County, and Stokes County is right above Forsyth County. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of North Carolina, and they have really poor internet connectivity rates. I,
Mm.
I, I can't I can't put my money on someone in Stokes County seeing a Facebook ad or
Yeah.
an Insta or a Snapchat or Instagram or a TikTok. We have to really invest in how are people in that community consuming information. How are they consuming things? So we've had to be very, very creative with those ways and really diversify our our marketing tactics. But here's the difference: we now are able to track a lot of those things in ways that we had never been able to before digitally.
Mm.
So I'll give you an example. I was approached about some gas station advertising. I was like, that's very interesting. We would have an ad above the pump. So you're pumping your gas and you see an ad there. And I was like, this is something that I'm interested in doing. I created the advertisements. I created a unique landing page for each advertisement with unique language, that was specific to the area that the gas station was in. And we placed them and we let them run for about 6 months. I was able to put each QR code, each landing page had a unique form, so I could see exactly how many people got on that page, exactly how many people from that ad put in their information. And after about 6 months, we saw that it was zero.
Wow.
There no one, no,
Yeah.
like, we had some
Like
traffic,
literally zero.
not one submission. So this, if I wasn't able to track, first off, it could have been the greatest idea in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been exactly what we needed in that rural area. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it could have been perfect. But I would never have been able to track it if I didn't have the digital underpinning that we have. Or I could have just kept it and said, "Oh, well, I think it's working."
Right.
And we just keep
Right.
we just keep paying that,
Right.
out of home fee. So we've been very, very targeted. So you know making sure that the the strategies that we are deploying are having a return. So that's been super huge, but also diversifying those to not just be a digital centric um, marketing campaign or a male centric marketing campaign. Could you imagine? Or anything like that, but really diversifying those, having an underpinning of digital reporting and analytics.
I love that your example ended with, and it wasn't working. I mean, I actually love that because I think, all too often we are unwilling to admit when things don't work. We'll
Right.
just sort of say, like, well, it must have worked or whatever. But two, that you gave it a chance, that you tried something new and different. And when it didn't work, you pivot away from it. And that's something I think I know I personally, I'm speaking as me, Jaime Hunt, to say that I get a little nervous about quote unquote failure
Mhm.
because, sometimes there can be this like, well, you tried that and it failed. And now there's this like negative viewpoint, but you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
How would you
Exactly.
know that if gas station ads in a rural county would work or not? There's no real way to know that. And I love that you tracked that and figured that out.
100%.
When you look ahead, what are your future plans or goals, and how do you think that they're going to impact student success. So what is on your horizon? I know you, Devin, that we've known each other for a long time. We actually met through CASE.
Yes.
And so I know you. I know that you're not just going to like let things run the way they've been running because everything's going great. I know you have future plans. So what are they?
Absolutely. My future goals are to really, really expand into the student experience. So, student care right now, we really focus we focus on every kind of student. Like if you're a current student, if you're a prospective student, if you're an alumni, we're here to help in any of those ways. But I really, really want to deepen what we're doing in as far as student experience. You had mentioned cradle to grave. Like I really, really want to encapsulate that in smart, efficient ways that really, really help students. So I think our future is going to be looking toward, how can we leverage AI more? How can we use those tools to help our students, to help efficiency? I love technology, and I think that I have a great leadership that loves technology and is open to exploring and deepening those resources. So um, definitely want to see that the student experience come into play a lot more. We have such high goals for completion rates. That is something that we are really, really passionate about. Don't get me wrong. I love that we are at the highest enrollment. That is amazing. We love it. But if in next semester, all those students leave, we weren't successful. We weren't successful. So we're going to be really digging into student success. How can we ensure that the students that we have are getting the resources that they need to complete and be a successful student? We want to take them as far as they can go and help support that. So remove those barriers.
So I absolutely love that. And I would love to hear what advice you have for the people who are listening. So, hundreds of people are listening to you right now who may be thinking, how do I get in on this? The student care aspect. How do I
Yeah.
make that part of my role? What advice would you give to someone for making that case?
So that's a great question. And the first thing that you really have to do is you have to have buy-in from your president, from your cabinet, from uh, the executive leadership that you have. That was something that that took, I would say, took the longest piece for us. Sort of developing that case for support. If you know what I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
looking at our call history or call volume and some of the deficiencies that we had there. Um, After displaying that and then you know proposing our plan, this is something that requires a lot of human resources. This is an investment from your institution. So this is not something that is cheap to do.
Right.
This is not something that is necessarily easy to do. Um, so we we started with a small team, and we started with a couple of positions, but then we started to devise a plan of, okay, so right now we're only going to be answering incoming calls, and then we took over our advising
Mm.
student success. So then we were like, okay, we're getting a couple people. Oh, you've got a couple of admin positions in student success. So what if we take those positions into student care, and then we'll take your calls. So then
Mm-hmm.
we started to take and then financial aid, and then our Forsyth Tech Cares, which is our holistic wraparound student support system. So then we started taking their calls and sort of help. So it was not something that was a flip of the switch. It was something that was really staggered, um, scalable. We started small and then we grew. So I would definitely say if you're looking to implement a student experience, student care, a student concierge type customer experience department in your institution, get that leadership buy-in, prove why you think that this is needed, and then start small and make a plan of how you can grow and add pieces and things like that. How do you eat an elephant? One
Right.
bite at a time. One
Yep.
bite at a time. So that's my advice. This is something that you should just have a vision, but be patient.
I think this is going to be super useful advice for people. I feel confident that somebody might want to get in touch with you to ask you questions and pick your brain. Where can people find you?
Absolutely. Would love that. People can find me on LinkedIn, Devin Purgason. It's kind of like Ferguson with a P. Hope just copy and paste from this podcast description. Trust me, people. And then so you can find me there on LinkedIn, but you can also find me on Twitter at Devin Purgason. So I look forward to connecting with you there.
I am confident that people will want to chat. If you'd like to chat with me, as always, you can find me on LinkedIn at Jaime Hunt, Jaime. I'm still kind of on Twitter, refuse to call it X, JaimeHuntimc there. And I have been doing a little bit with TikTok. So you can find me there at the Higher Ed CMO if you want to kind of see what I'm up to and what I'm ranting about these days. I'm feeling feisty these days, so I'm going out on a limb and saying things that I think need to be said, and I feel like that's my responsibility. With this platform comes that responsibility, so I'm out there doing that. But I hope to hear from you. As always, you can always use the hashtag Higher Ed CMO if you want to join in a social conversation about this. And until then, let's go bust some silos. Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry best as your host. Learn from Mallory Wilsey, Seth Odell, Jenny Lee Fowler, Eddie Francis, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.